All right, let's see if we can't have some success in answering these NWEA reading practice questions. Just like our last NWEA video, these questions will not be on your NWEA test, but you will have questions just like these, okay? It'll be a different passage. It will be different potential answers on the right, but it's going to be asking you to do the exact same thing that we're going to be doing here today. So let's start off with this first one, and let's see. Let's first start by, let's read the directions. So the directions tell us to read the passage. There are several questions about this passage. Before I go ahead, I encourage you highly to stop the video right now and see if you can answer this question on your own before we do it together. So take a pause right now. Okay, so I assumed you took a pause, and let's work through this together now. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to see, well, what is it exactly? What is it exactly that we're trying to do here? What is the question? What does it want from us? And the question says, under which heading, okay, so we're going to circle this word heading because that seems important, does the author include information about white-crowned sparrow babies? Okay, so we know we want info about babies. Okay, and it says under which heading? Well, if you're wondering what a heading is, these are headings. This is a heading. And this one right here, that's a heading. Okay, so headings tell us what the information coming after, what it's going to be about. Okay, well, if we know that we want to find information about babies, and we know we're reading about white-crowned sparrow birds, let's look at our potential answer, or our potential headers, where we might find this information. Well, number one says where they live. Okay, are we going to learn about babies where they live? Most likely not. That information is probably going to be about the habitat of the white-crowned sparrow. Okay, answer number two says what they eat. Are we going to find out about white-crowned sparrow babies under what they eat? Most likely not. We're probably going to learn about their diet. Number three says how they raise their young. Are we going to find out about baby sparrows in that one? Well, I know that sometimes babies or children can be described as, sometimes we say they are somebody's young. Okay? So I'm going to go now, I'm going to find the header that says how to raise their young, or how they raise their young, and I'm going to see if that header and that information does in fact talk about white-crowned sparrow babies. Okay, so let's go read it. So it's right here. It says, after the eggs hatch, the female bird stays on the nest for 7 to 12 days. Okay, so I see the word eggs, which usually means babies, or we're going to be talking about babies. Both the males and females feed the young birds. Well, a young bird's probably a baby bird. Then the male sparrow keeps feeding the baby birds. There is our key information. It says baby birds. Okay? So we have our answer. Okay? We are going to color in dot 3. You will find information about white-crowned sparrow babies under the header, how they raise their young. All right, let's go into question 2. Our directions tell us to read the paragraph. Okay, so it says, Earth has 5 oceans. They are part of one large ocean. Ocean water covers most of the planet. The oceans are very salty. The oceans are very important to life on Mars. Many plants and animals live in oceans. Okay, the oceans help make the weather on Earth. Water moves from the ocean to the sky. Later, the water falls as rain or snow. In this way, oceans provide Earth with the water that people, animals, and plants need to live. So, as I was reading this, something was sticking out to me, which was this. There was lots of information about how the oceans were important, or not were, how the oceans are important. Okay? How the oceans are important. That's just something that stuck out to me as I read it. So let's read what is our question that we're trying to answer. So it wants us to answer this right here. It wants us to say, what is the main idea of the paragraph? So let's remember, okay, what is main idea? What is the main idea? Well, the main idea, very simply, is what is the passage mostly about? And the way that you can kind of think about the main idea, or know if you have the right main idea, is by seeing if you can find something that we call supporting details. So supporting details are details that support the main idea, okay? So if we think about, okay, is the main idea about this passage that oceans are very salty, we can see, well, is there supporting details that talk about that? And I didn't see any. Here it does say that the oceans are very salty. Okay, but does it talk about why oceans being salty are important? It does not. Okay, so we know it's not going to be that one. Okay, there are 5 oceans on Earth. Well, it does say that right there. But does it talk about, can we find details as to why Earth has 5 oceans and why they're important? Not really. At least related to this question. Okay, there's no information about 5 oceans on Earth. Okay, plants and animals live in oceans. That's true. It says it right here. It does say that. Okay, but is that what it's mostly about, or is that a supporting detail to a larger idea? Well, that's a supporting detail. And it's a supporting detail to this idea right here, which is what we said. Okay, we noticed as we read, there's all this information about how oceans are important. So let's go back and see if we can find them. Okay, right here it says the oceans are very important to life on Earth. Let's see as we read, does it say why they're important to life on Earth? Well, it does. They're important because plants and animals live there. Okay, they're important because it helps make the weather. Okay, it's important because the oceans provide Earth with water that people and animals and plants need to live. So the main idea of this passage is going to be number 4. Okay, question number 3. Read the passage, it says. It says this question has 2 parts. Answer part A and then answer part B. So we're going to start with part A, okay? So we're not going to skip ahead. We're going to do part A and then we'll come and we'll do part B. Okay, so part A says, what is the lesson of the passage? So the lesson of a passage is, you can think about it this way, is what does the, underline that, what does the author want me to learn from this text, passage, story, whatever you may be reading, okay? And when we say, what does the author want me to learn, we mean for our lives, kind of big life meanings, life lessons, things that you can take away and you can use in your day-to-day to help you become a better person, to help you understand the world better, whatever it may be, okay? So we mean to think a little bit deeper than just what is the text about. So let's read it. And let's see if we can find the lesson. It says, Carlos and Ricky lived on the same street. One day they went to the new playground. They had been waiting for weeks for it to be finished. They were excited, so they're excited to go to this playground. The playground was huge. It had places where kids could climb and run. It had a nice picnic area too, but there was lots of trash. The trash bin had plastic bottles spilling out of it, so there was probably trash kind of falling onto the ground because they were overflowing. I wish we could do something about the trash, said Ricky. We can, said Carlos. He picked up some bottles and put them in his backpack. Ricky then did the same. They took the bottles home and Ricky recycled them. So this is a really important paragraph because what happened in this paragraph? Okay, so one is that they noticed trash all over the new playground. Okay, they noticed it all over the new playground. Okay, because there was trash spilling out and they wished that they could do something about it. And, well, they did do something about it. Well, what did they do about it? They took the bottles home and recycled them. So they picked up the bottles and recycled them. Okay, so let's go back to our question now. What is the lesson of the passage? Well, what is the big thing the author wants you to realize after you finish reading it? Is it that it's nice to be with friends? Well, this passage, he is with his friend, but that's not really the main thing that's happening. Okay, new places can be exciting. It's true, they were excited, but the passage isn't about them being excited. People need to be more careful. People do need to be more careful because it's true. I mean, trash is spilling out of the bin, but it's really not about people being more careful. What did they do? They noticed that there was a problem and they found a solution. Okay, so the only one that makes sense is that there's a problem and that problem can be easy to fix. Okay, the problem was that there's trash on the playground and there's an easy way to fix it, which is pick it up and recycle it and take it home. So let's move on to part B now. It says, which detail from the passage best supports the correct answer from part A? So best means exactly that. Pick the best or most appropriate answer. There could be more than one that makes sense. There could be more than one that you go, well, these are kind of both right. But you need to ask yourself, which one best answers? Okay, so let's see. Carlos and Ricky lived on the same street. That is true. Okay, but does that support our answer about fixing a problem? No, those two are not related. Okay, the playground was huge. Well, that's true too. But does that support our problem or our lesson? No, it does not. It had places where kids could climb and run. That's true too. But does that support the lesson of a problem can be easy to fix? No, it does not. So that would mean number 4. They took the bottles home and recycled them. Does that support this idea that a problem can be easy to fix? It does, because what was their solution to the problem? Their solution was to take the bottles home and recycle them. So I'm going to color in answer number 4. Okay, let's go to question number 4. It says, read the story. Milan and his dad were excited to go to the outdoor market. They especially liked tasting the fresh peaches. A woman selling peaches handed one to Dad. Dad took a bite. This is delicious, said Dad as he gave it to Milan. Milan agreed. The peach was wonderful. Dad pointed to where a band was playing. Let's go listen, said Dad. The band is too loud. Okay, so said Milan, let's keep walking. So Milan didn't like the band because it made too much noise. They got to a stand with samples of drinks made from vegetables. The samples were green. Milan thought they were strange. Okay, so Milan thinks they're a little bit weird. Dad drank 5 different samples. He said they all tasted great. How are Dad's ideas different? Okay, so different from Milan's ideas. Choose two answers. Okay, so we want to think about, from this text, how are Milan and his dad, how were their choices or their ideas about what they were doing, how are they different? Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to pick two colors, and we're going to say blue is same ideas or similar. Okay, and then we're going to pick a contrasting color. So let's pick pink, and we're going to say pink is different ideas or different feelings about what they were doing, because we want to find the two ways that they're different. Okay, so let's go and let's see. So it says Milan and his dad were excited to go to the outdoor market. So they're both excited to go. So that's something that is the same. They especially like tasting the fresh peaches. So that means both of them like tasting fresh peaches. So that's how they're the same. A woman selling peaches handed one to Dad. Dad took a bite. "This is delicious," said Dad as he gave it to Milan. Milan agreed. So they both agree that the peaches are delicious. The peach was wonderful. Dad pointed to where a band was playing. "Let's go listen," said Dad. "The band is too loud," said Milan. "Let's keep walking." So Dad wants to go listen to the band, but Milan says let's keep walking because they're too loud. They go to a stand with samples of drinks made from vegetables. The samples were green. Milan thought they were strange. Dad drank 5 different samples. He said they tasted great. So Dad, he drank the drinks made from vegetables, but Milan did not because he thinks they're strange. Okay, so let's go down to our possible options. So we're going to pick the two ideas that talk about how they're different. So Dad likes trying new things. Well, does Dad like trying new things? Doesn't he try the 5 different drinks right here? Yes, he does. Does Milan try them? No, he doesn't. So that's one way that they're different. Dad likes trying new things, okay? That's this information right here. Milan does not like trying new things. He thought the drinks were strange. Dad thinks the peaches taste good. Well, they both think that. Okay, so it can't be, they both think. It can't be this one. Okay? Dad wants to listen to the band. Isn't that what Dad says right here? Doesn't he say, "Here's the band playing, let's go listen"? But what does Milan say? Milan says, "The band is too loud, let's keep walking." So do they have different ideas here? Yes, they do. And just to double check to make sure, number 4 said Dad is excited to go to the market. Well, the very first sentence says Milan and his dad were excited to go to the market. So they are both excited. So those are not different ideas. Okay, I'm going to select number 1 and number 3. And last but not least, let's do our final question. Choose the sentence in the passage that tells how bats are different from birds. Okay, so this is going to be a compare and contrast. So excuse my wobbly circle. Okay, so we're going to set up a compare and contrast. Okay, so we have bats and we have birds. Okay, and we want to find the sentence that tells how they are different from each other. So this is going to be contrast over here, so how they're different. Contrast on the outside. And then right here will be compare, how they are similar. Okay, so let's see. Some people may think that bats are birds because bats fly. So bats have wings. Birds also have wings. So we could say they both have wings. Many birds eat insects. Some bats eat insects too. So we could say they both eat insects. They both eat insects. Birds have feathers that cover their bodies, but bats have fur. So what do bats have? They have fur. What do birds have? Birds have feathers. So which sentence here, okay, which sentence here tells how bats are different from birds? Well, it's this one right here. This one tells how they are different. Bats have fur and birds have feathers, okay? You are not going to see these exact questions on your NWA reading, but you are going to see this exact same type of questions, the exact same structure of the questions, and you are going to have to use the same skills to be able to get these answers correctly. So I want you to go back if you need to, rewatch these examples, do them on your own before you listen to us doing them together, and as always, happy learning. I'll see you in the next video.